Our next presentation is one that is very special for me. I worked at J. Frank Schmidt and Sons Nursery at the High Forest Seedling Farm along IPPS legacy legends like Helen Kunkel, Keith Warren, and Guy Meacham. I'll admit I could wax poetic for hours about the many innovative techniques at J. Frank, but we are here today for the video. It's a good one. Let's go ahead and get it started.
So J. Frank Schmidt and Son is an ornamental shade and flowering tree producer headquartered in Boring, Oregon, which is about 25 miles east of Portland. We farm about 2,500 acres. In the Boring area, we grow some bare root trees. We also have our B&B operation in the Boring area, as well as our container operation, where we grow containerized trees from 3-gallon liners up to 32-inch baskets. Also, all our propagation facilities are in the Boring area. And then about 30 miles south of here in the Willamette Valley, around the town of Canby, we farm about another 1,000 acres of bare root trees. And we also grow some bare root trees in Milton Freewater in eastern Oregon. And so in this video today, we're just going to look at some of the different propagation techniques we use at the nursery during the summer months. The High Forest Farm sticks about 1.5 million summer cuttings per year. The cuttings are stuck in bark beds, and so semi-ripe wood works best for us. So the season runs between the first week of June and the first week of August. Wood is collected from stock trees, stock hedges, and also from production rows when necessary. Of the 1.5 million, 40% are cultivars of elm trees, with another 20% being maples, another 20% being cherries, and the remainder being things like birch, plane trees, and crabapples. The wood is collected early in the morning, brought into the cooler, and our goal is to process all wood within 2 days of collection. Though rates vary greatly by cultivar, the average for the whole season is over 200 cuttings per man-hour for preparation and hormone application before sticking. A typical cutting is 5 to 6 inches long, nodal with 1 to 2 leaves. A range of rooting hormones are used depending on the cultivar, either rise upon powder or a range of Hortus salts ranging from 1,000 to 10,000 parts per million. The quick dip method is used. After preparation, the cuttings are ready to be transported to the propagation tunnels. About 40 propagation tunnels are required for the summer crop. Cuttings are stuck directly into the bark beds using dibble boards. A range of different dibble boards are used depending on the spacing required by the cultivar. Cuttings are stuck by a team of 2 people, each team sticking over 4,000 cuttings per hour. Cuttings remain under mist for 4 to 5 weeks, after which weaning off begins. Here, greenhouse supervisor Teresa checks on some summer-rooted red maples.
Harvest of these cuttings begins in December, and the plants are grown for a second year at the High Forest Farm in transplant beds before being ready for field planting. The majority of trees produced at J. Frank Schmidt & Son are propagated from summer budding, either chip budding or tea budding, but before that can be done, budwood has to be collected and prepared. Wood is collected from the field in much the same way as wood is collected for our softwood cutting propagation. It's brought into a work area where all the leaves are removed and care is taken to keep the wood fully hydrated at all times. Lourdes manages the budwood collection and preparation for all farms.
And I prepare the sticks for the leafage, put it in the water, and the process, put it in the table, cut for the sticks to fit, and counting the bundle for 15 sticks, and put it in the burlap, and paper, and rubber bands, and the labels. I have one inside in the bundle, and one outside the bundle, and put it in the water, and I have put it in the bag for 5 for each, and put it in the cooler. And I have one guy pick it up for the cooler and go to the field for the.
Once the wood has been de-leafed, it's cut into equal lengths and prepared for packaging and sending to the various farms where it will be needed. The wood is wrapped in moist burlap. Inside each bundle is a label with the name and quantity of buds, and an identical label is placed on the outside of the bundle. Here Lourdes explains the system. This is a map of the budwood cooler where all prepared wood is stored, ready to go to the various farms where it will be needed. All collected wood is given an index number, telling us when it was collected, the temperature on the day it was collected, and where the wood is going. This way, if a problem is found in the field later, all batches of budwood can be traced back to where the wood came from and on what day it was collected. Depending on the type of tree, we use both tea buds and chip buds. The season usually begins the second half of July with tea budding of sugar maples and ends the first half of September with chip budding of dogwoods. Here, Jose Martin talks a little bit about the tea budding process.
We have different ways to cut that,
Right.
the tip. Some of those they cut, they spear more,
Yeah.
and they cut. But these guys, this is when they cut, either in the top, they pop out the
Yeah. If you cut the top at an angle, you can open it.
top and then put it that way. Yeah.
Right.
So I think those guys make like about 3,000.
About 3,000 a day.
3,000 a day.
Okay.
They knew.
Yeah.
But the other guys left when they make like 3,800, 3,500.
Right.
Like Oscar,
Yeah.
he make like about 3,400 a day.
Right.
But when the ground is flat and better,
Yeah.
they make more.
Sure. Because here they have to push uphill.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, so these days, the only things we are tea budding is sugar maple.
Sugar maple,
Norways.
Norways, but not right now.
Yeah.
That's the ones we have.
putting both these buds on at the same time, or
No,
did we do the
that-
other bud like
the-
2 weeks
which
early?
one?
The first bud underneath, when was that done?
Like last week.
Last week. Okay.
Last week.
So about a
We
week.
do it like
10
7 days,
7
8 days, depends.
Okay. Each team consists of a budder and a tire following behind. T-buds are tied with rubber strips. These rubber strips come off by themselves and do not have to be removed. Unlike the T-budding, where the buds are placed at separate times, with chip budding, 2 buds are normally placed at the same time. Chip buds are tied with 2mm plastic tape, not rubber strips, and this plastic tape does have to be removed, usually about 3 weeks after the bud was placed. Each summer, the grafting crew that works out of Cottrell Farm grafts between 50 and 60,000 Japanese maples. Sign wood is collected from stock trees and production trees as needed. The collected wood is de-leafed and generally 2-node, 4-bud scions are used. Buddy tape is used, and these rotating spinners are used to make the job of tying the grafts easier for the grafter. Depending on the rootstocks and variety and experience level, a grafter can do between 70 and 100 grafts per hour. Since the grafted plants are returned to an overhead irrigated greenhouse, graft sealant is used at the top of the graft to prevent water from running down inside the graft union. Callousing usually takes 2 to 4 weeks, but the plants remain in the same greenhouse over the winter until heading back the following spring. All our grafted Japanese maples go into a whip bed system for 2 years of growth before dividing the crop between transplanting into fields or potting up into containers. One-year seedlings are grown in a seed bed at high forest, harvested the following spring and potted up into liners. These potted liners are then ready for budding in September. The final crop to be summer propagated are the ginkgo biloba. These are greenhouse chip budded in September. Interns who come to work with us always get a chance to try their hand at bench grafting and chip budding.
Do they give you little squares of it? They won't give you your own roll. So if you start at the back, there, like that, and then come around the front, like that, and then just hold it, and then below, just turn your tap. Okay. tear it up.
After budding, the budded liners are treated in much the same way as the grafted Japanese maples. They're returned to a greenhouse with overhead irrigation for the winter. Each flat not only has a variety label, but also a color code tag which tells us who grafted each and every flat. The following spring, when the buds begin to grow, they're taped in so that we have straight trees, and then the liners are grown to about 18 inches in the greenhouse before being ready for transplanting into the field.
International sponsors like Harrell's and Ball. National sponsors: Nursery Supplies, Star Roses and Plants, Bailey Nurseries, Spring Meadow Nursery, ICL Specialty Fertilizer, and Bayer. And our most recent regional sponsor, I'd like to give a plug for the support of Van Bell Nursery.